What's good, YouTube fam? We back with another transformation. This is my girl. We're about to transform her. We're gonna do an 8 on top with a low drop fade. This is actually my first time cutting her. She found me on Instagram, so stay tuned so you can see how I execute, alright? Alright, like I said, we're about a transformer, so we're doing a number 8 on top, and we're just debulking everything off the top, getting it all nice and clean, getting all one length. So again, I'm using number 8, going all in different directions, making sure the top is nice and even, and then we'll move on to the fade. Alright, now we got the top to a number 8. Now I grab my number 3 guard with the blade completely open, so the lever is open, and we're going up and off of her head. Alright, so this is pretty much gonna blend into that number 8 if you flick out correctly. So like I said, I'm having the blade flush to her head. I'm going up and out. Okay, I'm not digging in, I'm just scooping out as I get to her parietal ridge, so that later on I can just do a little bit of scissor comb just to get a nice even fade from the 3.5 to the 8. As you can tell, it's pretty much blending in. It's just debulking everything from the bottom. So that's what we're just trying to do. We're trying to debulk everything so that we know that we're working from bald to a 3.5 guard. Alright, next moving on to the bald guideline. Like I said, this is going to be a low fade, so I'm starting really low, going about a finger's width over her earlobe, and I'm going to drop it super low as we get to the back, and then follow it across to the same way on the other side, keeping everything as symmetrical as possible and using different points as reference. So as you can tell, I went about an inch over the ear, or a finger width, my bad, over the ear. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side and drop it right when I get past the ear, and then I'm going to meet the 2 right here in the back. When I'm doing low fades, I like to go ahead and edge up the C-cups first before I start the fade, just so I can really see how dark I want to keep those C-cups. So I'm just keeping it super natural, not digging in there, keeping it super natural. I'm using my gamma hitters right here with the Astro P3 blade on here by 3 versions. I'll leave all the links down below, but keeping everything super natural, doing the same thing. What you do to one side, you go ahead and do the same thing to the other side. Try keeping them as symmetrical as possible. But if some people don't really grow the exactly same, I personally don't like to push things up or down, or push things up in order to get them super symmetrical. But just do your best to get them as close as possible without pushing them back. Alright, so now my next guard, this is like another debulking. Not really a debulking, but just makes it easier for me to fade into from the bald. I'm using my 1.5 guard blade completely closed, and I'm going up towards that 3 guard. Not completely, because I'm going to open up the blade more and I'm going to flick out towards that 3. But I'm going up, as you can tell, about a good 2 to 3 inches, creating another guideline. So now we have the bald guideline, we have the 1.5 guard closed, and then we have the 3 guard open. Alright, so those are the guards that we went through right now, and this is on the wall system, and I am using my ergo gammas right here. So as you can see, following the same shape, keeping everything super consistent. Now open the blade all the way, and then I'm going to go up towards that 3 guard. So this is going to almost blend into that 3, but later on we're going to do some scissor over comb to get a nice transition. Alright, so now to bring in that 1.5 guard to the 3 into the 8, we're just going to do some scissor over comb. I'm using the more wide tooth side of the comb just so I could really debulk and get a nice transition. I'm not trying to do very fine detail. I'm trying to, remove all that bulk and all that darkness. So I'm just, using scissor over comb, keeping it square to her head, not digging in, and being very consistent and really letting the scissors do the work. Alright, now our next step is going to be no guard with the blade completely open, and we're going to make about an inch guide line and following that same pattern, keeping everything consistent. So now what we're going to fade in is pretty much from that bald guide line to a 1.5 guard. Okay, so it's super simple. We're breaking it down step by step, and that's how you should attack all your fades, is breaking everything down. So like I said, we're doing an inch all the way across, and then after that we're going to remove that guide line that we just created right now with the guard, with no guard, blade open. Alright, now to remove that guide line, what we're going to do is start with the blade completely closed, and we're going to attack that very bottom line. Okay, we're going to go up 1/4 of an inch. So we made an inch guide line, and we're going to go up in sections of 1/4 of inches all the way until we have the blade completely open. So as we go up 1/4 of an inch, we're going to open the blade slightly. So as you can tell there, I opened it halfway, and I'm going up another 1/4 of an inch, getting closer and closer to that line that we just created. And after that, I'm going to go ahead and open a little bit more and attack that. And then just to be safe that I'm not pushing up the fade all the way, I'm going to have the blade completely open again, and I'm going to pretty much go over that same guide line that I just created, just to know that I'm not going any higher than that initial guide line that I just created. So right now I have the blade completely open, going back over where I left, and I'm just going to repeat that same process throughout the whole head. So right here I'm going to keep it at normal speed just so you can really see what I'm doing. So I have the blade completely closed right now, went up 1/4 of an inch, opened it halfway, going up another 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to open up the blade a little bit more and go pretty much right below where I left that guide line, and then open it all the way and then attack where we left that guide line. So now I know that's the highest that I've gone, and that's blade completely open. So then later on I can move to the next guard, and then all the fade will come all together. And usually when I'm going around this area, I'm flicking up, moving the lever up and down. I'm not just going through those. I go through those steps, and after that I open and close the lever as I need to get that line completely out. All right, I'm gonna keep this whole part in normal speed just so you could really see, because I know a lot of people struggle with the bald guide line. Alright, so our next step is the 1 guard, and this is completely open, and it may look like I'm using the whole blade, but I'm really guiding more towards the right side of the blade as I'm moving to the right. I'm using the corner of the blade. When I say corner, I mean I'm using about half of the blade but leaning towards the right side more. Okay, so I'm not really just using the first few teeth. I'm using pretty much half of the blade but more guided towards the right side. Okay, now we just went ahead and closed the clipper all the way down, and we're doing the same thing. All we're doing with this one guard right here is just softening up that line so that we could come back with our half guard later to really bring the fade all together. All right, this isn't going to completely remove that line. This is just softening up the line so it makes it a lot easier for us later on. And as you can tell, this is a different fade system that I've been using in my other videos. What I'm trying to really do is show you guys a bunch of different fades systems that I do, and whichever one you feel works best for you, go ahead and just hone in on that one and really do that for a whole month and see how your fades are coming out. If you're really not liking it, go ahead and do a different fade system, try that out for a whole month and see which one really works for you and which one your brain is easier for you to get the hang of and get your fades as flawless as you can. Alright, so now that we finished with our one guard, we went and moved over to our half guard, and it's the same steps. Alright, so we have the blade completely open. As I'm moving to one side, I'm leaning more on that side of the blade. So as I go to the left, I'm leaning more on the left side of the blade. As I move to the right, I lean more with the right side of the blade. When it comes to fading, so this is like the fading work. In the beginning was we were creating guidelines and taking those out. Now what we're doing is fading. And when it comes to the fading, you want to use a lot more corner and lead towards one side of the blade, just so you can really pick and not create any more lines. You want to go ahead and remove lines now. So as you can see, it's starting to soften up. You can see the blade, the fade is starting to come together. Usually closer to the C cup area. That area is more or less dense, so the fade's gonna blend a lot easier. But as you get to the back, you're gonna notice that it's more dense back there, and a 1 on the back may look like a half more closer to the C cup area. And the reason is because it's more dense in the back. As you can tell, that line looks a lot darker than it did and more towards the front. So what you got to do is really bring up that fade so you get a nice symmetrical fade throughout the head, because if you stay low back there, it's not going to look as even. So you have to bring it up. Don't be afraid. It's a lot darker back there, so it's okay if you bring up the line or bring up the fade in the back so it looks symmetrical throughout the whole head and not super dark in the back and super light on the side. I hope that makes sense. And right here you can see I point out that there's a little bit of dark spots. I was looking in the mirror and I put my finger there so I could really see what the dark spot is, and I go ahead and attack that. And as you can see, I'm using the corners, just slowly remove that line. And if it doesn't cut anything, take off the guard and just use blade completely open with no guards and do the same thing. Attack with the corners and keep moving as you need to get that line out. If nothing's cutting, don't sit there and keep going over the same thing. That's what a lot of barbers have issues with. They keep going over the same thing expecting something to change, when you need to go ahead and take the guard down, go to a lower guard, or do something different in order to remove those guidelines or to get a flawless fade. Also, if you guys are new to the channel and you guys do find value in these videos, please make sure to hit the like button and comment down below. Let me know what you guys learned or what you guys would like me to break down, or if you guys want me to explain something a little bit better, make sure to drop that down below in the comments. And make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're growing. We're about to hit 12,000 subscribers. It's crazy how fast we're growing, so I truly appreciate all you guys. I wouldn't be able to do without you guys. And also, announcement, if you guys haven't known, I went ahead and dropped my brand. I dropped my own line. It's called the Joseph line. I'll have the links down below if you want to go ahead and follow the page. I'm going to be launching my products soon. Make sure to subscribe to the newsletter. The link is in the bio of my Instagram. I'm going to be giving a lot of giveaways until we drop the products. Super easy for you guys to enter. All you got to do is just comment down below and just guess what the products I am going to be releasing. And I'm going to be doing a lot of exclusive deals that I will be emailing out to you guys. So make sure to go ahead and check that out, right? But now after we finish the fade, as you can see, everything came together. The fade is looking super blurry. We're gonna go ahead and go with our Gamma shavers and just go below and just get everything very bald. Like I said, it's a low fade, so there's not too much bald, but just flick out as you get towards it, tap down, do whatever you gotta do, but just don't create another line. If you do, as you're gonna see, I'm gonna go back with my trimmers just to make sure that fade has a nice transition. Right here, I'm just doing a little bit of detail work, making sure that bald guideline is completely out and you got a smooth transition. So then after this, we're gonna go ahead and just fine tune everything, use our scissor over comb. Right here, I'm using more of the fine tooth area. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to get super detailed, make sure the transition is super smooth. And we're just gonna follow that throughout the whole head. Alright, moving on to the lineup, the make it or break it. This is what brings the whole haircut together. But right here, what I'm doing is debulking. I'm just using my clipper over comb or my trimmer over comb, and I'm just lightly taking off those extra hairs in the front so I can get a nice crispy line without pushing her back. I'm gonna go ahead and throw some hairspray in there just to lock in everything so nothing moves, and then go ahead and blow dry it. And now we're gonna go ahead and attack that lineup. So I started with the vertical bars because this was my first time lining her up, and as you can tell, I'm not pushing her back, but I'm still getting a nice line. Look, as you can tell, there's a nice line. Now I'm going to start in the center and kind of go towards one way. I usually like to go to the side that's higher, so that this other side that has more hair, I could, you know, match to the higher side. So I moved over to one side, started from the vertical bar in the corner, and I'm moving and connecting that to the middle. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. And always step back, look at the lineup, see what side's dipping, and then go back and attack. So as you can see, that side's looking nice and crispy. I'm stepping back, looking at it, and I'm gonna just go ahead and move from there and move all the way to the side. And you know, your trimmer is a straight blade, okay? It's not curved, it's not slanted or anything, it's straight. So if you just make a straight line and just follow that all the way across, you're most likely gonna get a nice sharp lineup. And if you debulk and do all that, it'll be a lot easier for your lineup. A lot of people don't debulk the lineup, and then you get longer hairs and you try lining up and the hairs move and they end up pushing them back, and it's all bad. But as you can see, look, I got a nice sharp lineup. Her lineup was pretty light in the front, but I was still able to make a nice sharp lineup. After that, we're gonna go ahead and razor everything in, get everything nice and crispy, just pulling with our opposite hand and coming straight down to the line, getting nice and crispy. And look how sharp that lineup is. Look, that's super crispy, and that's a natural lineup. That's no enhancement, nothing. All right, look, she's even impressed. She's liking it. Now we're gonna go ahead and just enhance her just to take it to that next level, make it look super crispy. And also, the razor that you guys saw, that was my Turkish razor. If you do want to purchase your own, I'll have the links down below. And make sure you use JJ15 to get 15% off. But right here, I'm just using my 245 compressor, keeping it super natural, not making it super dark, but just dark enough where you could tell that, okay, like this cut is next level cut. Alright, like we always do, finish off with some aftershave, cleanses the skin to make sure everything's nice and clean. So we went down to bald. And then after that, we're just gonna follow up with the blow dryer, just so it's nice and clean, refreshes them, makes them feel good. Since it was my first time cutting her, I went ahead and gave her the mirror, let her check everything out, see if she saw any imperfections or if she wanted me to change anything. But she liked it, she was feeling it. So this is how she came in before. You know, could have done something cool with this, but she wanted to go ahead and chop it off. So this is how she was before, and then this is how she looks after. Ooh. Thank you, YouTube. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Look at that blurry, flawless drop fade with a number 8 on top. Kept the hooks, super crispy lineup. Hope you guys enjoyed that. If you guys did learn something new, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, I'm out.